It is time for episode 20. So let's get right into it. Okay, welcome. Let's see. All right. We are getting ready to get into Everything Under the Sun, the podcast, episode 20. Tonight's episode title is 2020, the year from hell or heaven sent. I am your host, Traveling Zeta 2, or Dr. Williams, Dr. Sunshine, however you want to address me. Welcome to Everything Under the Sun, the podcast. This is episode 20, and we're going to be talking about the year 2020. Okay, I'm going to do a recap of what this year was like for me. Feel free to chime in with what this year was like for you. But let's get right into it. So, 2020. What was that? It's December 31st, 2020. It is a little after 9:30 here on the West Coast. We have a few more hours of this year. And I'm just trying to figure out, is this the year from hell or was it heaven sent? So, this time last year, I was collecting a check from a full-time job. I had just been hired in November. So it's the holidays. I'm getting this money and not having to be at work. And on top of that, I was still driving for Uber. So I was collecting these bonuses and getting these tips. It was a good little time. Now let's fast forward to this year. And I'm like, who got time? Who got time for 2020, bro? Like, this year was crazy. I don't care if this year was great for you. I don't care if this year sucked for you. Regardless, it was crazy. Like, there's no way any of us could have expected a global pandemic to break out and for us to be where we are today. So, I know I wasn't. Like, let me be very clear. This was my 30th birthday year. This was my centennial year for my sorority. This was the year I was going to graduate with my PhD. This was supposed to be the best year. Okay, this was supposed to be the year for me. Now, some could argue that it was still a good year for me. But, you know, let's just do a recap because let's just get into it, okay? So let's see. So like I said, I was driving for Uber at the beginning of 2020. I decided to stop driving for Uber once I decided that my full-time job was covering enough of the bills and I didn't want to exhaust myself anymore. And honestly, prior to March and the shutdown of the city, the money was starting to look a little funny. Wasn't getting as many rides. The bonuses weren't coming in as fast. It just wasn't as attractive. And so it didn't make sense to go out, put money in a car, and then not be making the gas back and then lots of dollars after that, right? So I made a decision to stop driving or whatever. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, oh, I'm really not driving. I'm not having sick folk in my car. We not doing that. So from there, I decided also, let's go back a little bit. At the beginning of January, I hosted a vision board party, okay? Hosted a vision board party, and I'm going to show y'all my vision board. This was the board. I had a get together at my house. I had a few friends over, and we did a vision board party. And I love vision boards. I think these are great tools to manifest what you are hoping to accomplish. It's a great way to visually see what you're trying to achieve. And make it plain. And I always believe in writing things down, writing things out, and that makes it easier for us to see and read, and to check off what we're trying to do. And so one of the biggest things for me was getting my degree. So you can see like doctoral people over here in their doctoral regalia. Getting my dream job was super important. I was turning 30 in June. Down here I have to publish my book. I'm still doing hair, so being a hairstylist was very important to me. I have on here relationships matter, so I really wanted to be intentional about developing stronger relationships with my friends, and also with my family. I have on here a husband. I really thought that I was going to be traveling a lot in 2020 and that I was going to find the love of my life on one of my trips. I thought it was going to be one of those cute little stories. That didn't happen. Like, I literally have on here, I met Bay abroad. No. Didn't happen. And traveling obviously is very important. I have on here young, black, and traveled. I traveled a bit. There's definitely been an episode for every time that I was able to travel this year after my centennial trip in January. And that's pretty much it. Like, it wasn't a ton on here, but it was enough. And I'm glad that I had that to kind of keep me, holding me accountable for what I was trying to accomplish in this year. So the things that did happen we'll get into a little bit later, but that's what we did. And so I'm also actually thinking about having another vision board party, but this time virtually, for multiple reasons. A few of my friends have left the city, and then also it's COVID, so there really isn't, having people in my personal home is really not going to be a thing, and then trying to figure out space and time and all that stuff. So look out for that. I might be doing a vision board party in January. So I've already told y'all on a previous episode that I was able to finish my PhD during a pandemic. I had initially planned to get my degree conferred, like to actually be a graduate, in May. And Lord knows, I wish that that would have been the case. But it didn't happen that way. I didn't actually defend until the very last possible day in May. They have a thing at LSU where if you defend by a certain date before graduation, you're able to have your dissertation done and defended, but your degree won't be conferred until the summer semester or the following semester. And so in my case, summer. And you can register as degree only, so then you save some dollars and you don't have to register for any credits. You just pay for, like, basically being on, still being in the system as a student. And so that's like less than $100 or something like that. And so I was able to do that. So that was a major accomplishment. I literally defended on May 15th, which was less than a month before my 30th birthday. And then after that process, I had like a certain time frame in which I had to get all the edits done into the grad school editor. And I literally stayed up on my birthday and finished that. And so my 30th birthday present to myself was getting this degree completely sewn up, everything done, submitted, filed, signed, and done. So that was really amazing. Was really able to get that done and move forward. This chapter of my life was done, right? So closed, we're moving on. The only thing about that is that I finished in May. My ceremony wasn't until August. It was actually, it's funny how this kind of worked out because people don't know this, but May 15th is my sister's birthday weekend. And then so I kind of thought that I was going to be having her come to attend my graduation ceremony during that weekend, but that ended up not working out. And then my actual ceremony ended up being on August 7th, which is my father's birthday weekend. And so because it was a virtual ceremony, he didn't actually have to travel during his birthday and for my ceremony. So it kind of worked out for both of them that they didn't have to travel for things that were related to me on their birthdays. But those dates will forever be etched in my mind. May 15th and August 7th. So dissertation defended, degree conferred. So it was definitely an interesting time this year, not having a real ceremony. I've had 3 graduation ceremonies already. finished my bachelor's, everybody came out for that, and when I finished my master's at Nova, everyone came down for that. The one that I did for UCF was kind of wonky because I walked in a spring graduation ceremony, but I didn't pass a course, so I didn't actually finish that degree until fall of that year. So it wasn't a big deal to me. I wasn't super excited. I didn't necessarily feel like a fraud, but I just felt like it just wasn't anything to celebrate at that point because the degree wasn't actually done. And so this degree, I was going to be like going all out because I knew everything was done. And it was, PhD before 30. That's a huge milestone. So really, at this point, I'll probably have huge celebrations in 2021 if we can. Like, I don't know how this whole pandemic business is going to work out, but if we're able to gather and have folks and people can travel and things of that nature, then I will be having a true graduation celebration next year. So, what was I saying? Sorry. So, yeah, dang, I really lost my train of thought. Oh, my ceremony. So having this PhD ceremony and not having people come down was kind of weird, and definitely didn't feel as special as it could have been. But we did fly to Louisiana, so I was actually in the state when my graduation ceremony was taking place, and I was in New Orleans in an Airbnb watching the ceremony happen on the computer, and then we drove out to Baton Rouge for me to take my graduation photos. And so some of those photos are on my personal page, and some new pictures are up actually as of today for the rest of what that photo shoot looked like. So please check that out. So so then another thing that happened this year, I really wanted to finish the second edition of my book. So as you can see behind me, voila. My book is done. My book is here. It is in my hands. I'm able to touch it, see it, read it, and it just feels so great because this has been a 2-year long project. I did this version back in 2017, and by 2018, the end of that year, I knew that I wanted to make a lot of edits to it, and I had started working on them when I moved to LA, but things just kind of happened. I got in my own way and procrastinated like a mug, and so I didn't finish. And so I had changed the title. I had this other really awesome title, and so I'm going to use that for another project. I had changed all the formatting of the book from this bigger size to the smaller size because I wanted it to be more travel friendly. And I started reorganizing the contents on the inside for organizational purposes to make it a little more easier to read and easier to consume. And so I had done all that, but what I hadn't done was to solidify the cover. I hadn't settled on if I wanted to add any more content, and then I didn't actually go back and reread it to make sure that there were no errors or whatever. And so I finally, once I finished my degree, I decided, okay, let's get into it. Earlier this year, at the very beginning of the year while I was working full-time at my desk, I was actually changing some things. So like I was supposed to be working, but what I was doing was like on the inside there was like this timeline of all the things that all the trips I had taken, and I didn't like that version anymore. And so in the new version, which we'll be able to see at the very end, now it's not at the top, is more of an infographic, which I think is a little bit easier to consume and is not as overpowering for people to read. And so that's one of the new things about the book. Let me show y'all. This is the newest. These literally just came in today. I'm like showing y'all stuff in real time. This came in today, December 31st of 2020. Like goals. The cover is updated. So I did a book release party a couple weeks ago. The cover looks different. As y'all can see, like, it just looks so much better. Oh my gosh. So the cover is updated. I updated the sides. So when it's on your bookshelf, like, this is way bigger, more easier to read and find. And then I also made sure that the back was updated. Like, you can totally see, like, the book just looks, it just looks so much better. And then there were some issues with, like, the printing. They did something wrong, and we finally got everything, like, perfect on the inside. Like, I'm just really proud of this project. You guys don't understand. This has been, like I said, 2 years in the making, and even still, I had wanted to get this done in the summer. It didn't get done that quickly. Then I had kind of like decided, okay, well, let me look at a calendar and see what author or book holidays are coming up. And so I found some in October and I found some in November, and I really wanted to have the book done by the first week of November because there was like a holiday on the 1st and a holiday on the 8th of that month. But I wasn't able to get it done that quickly, but I was able to get it done and onto the site and published by November 30th. So even though I didn't meet the exact goal I had, I still got it done in the month of November. So I was really proud of that. And on top of that, it shows that when you go to order it on Amazon, it shows you independently published on November 30th. So it's like written in stone. So that's super awesome too. So yeah, so the book is called Always Traveling, which is also the name of my nonprofit. And I am so proud of this final product. And I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on it and to read it. So if you do get a copy and you do read my new book, please leave a review on Amazon. I would love you forever for that. And if you order through my website, I will be signing the copies, and then also you can order lapel pins. And so this is something else that no one knew was happening. I definitely kind of did this, on the hush. I really wanted to, how they say move in silence. I definitely was moving in silence. I was doing a lot of research. There are resources available. There's a Black girl who owns a pin business, and I support her lapel pin business. She also created a guide to creating your own lapel pins. It's kind of pricey. I do think it's probably worth it because she's been doing this for a while, but I didn't have that type of money at the time. And so I just did my own research, and I found a way to get these done. So there are 2 colorways. There's the black signature lapel pin and the white signature lapel pin. They're both in the shape of Africa with a little plane on them. And personally, while the black ones are the most popular, I think the white looks the cleanest. I am super proud of these 2 lapel pins, and I can't wait for them to sell out. I just can't wait. 1, because financially it'll be a blessing. But 2, I really just want them out in the world, and I want people to own them. One of the cool things about these is that, and actually with the support of my mother, because I like to throw my ideas back and forth with my family, I have the back, let's see. I don't know if you guys can see that, but on the back, the title of my business / book is engraved on the back. So no one can say that this is their design, and no one can say that this is theirs and like try to take it from me. This is mine, baby. I created this. This is my hard work. This is my design. I paid for these to get made. I paid for these to come from overseas. So ownership, excuse me, I am a huge supporter of ownership. And clearly I'm getting too excited. But ownership is a big deal. Making sure that things are yours. Some of the things that I'll be working on next year in 2021 is getting my 501c3 status, doing all the trademark and registering, and making sure that everything that comes from me, my intellectual property, is protected. Because there are vultures out there that will try to steal your stuff, and we don't have time for that. So, I'm just really excited that that's where I am. So we have a book, we have lapel pins. There will be more lapel pin designs in the spring. I'm just waiting to start getting additional money, and I'll be able to work with actually a local domestic Black owned lapel pin manufacturer. And so I'm really excited about that partnership that'll be starting because while the people overseas are great and it really didn't take that long for me to get the product, there were delays, and there were issues with the shipping and tracking service that they use. They don't use a different tracking number per shipment. They kind of recycle, and so it took a few days for me to actually see my address show up in the system. And there were a lot of delays getting through customs and stuff like that, and no one wants to deal with that. So I'm going to use a black-owned manufacturer located in New Orleans, and so I'm really excited about that, and I'll tell you more about that as it comes. But I have more designs that I'm really excited about, and I might do t-shirts and hoodies and stuff in the future, but right now I just really think lapel pins are easy, and you get so many at a time, and just easier to manage for myself, but that is on the way. So one of the things I wanted to talk about too was just kind of thinking about like being a author again. Like, I did it before. I went through a process in 2016, 2017 with self-publishing, creating the book cover, designing the content, promoting, doing a campus tour, like all that stuff. And so now, with waiting for the book to get here and waiting for the pins to get here, like, this is the first time I had a website. I didn't have a website the last time, at least not one that was an e-commerce site. So on my site you can order your books and your pins for me, and I will get that money directly. It's not royalties. So like with Amazon, while I love Amazon, they take a huge portion of the cost, and so it's actually better for me if you all buy directly from me. But managing all of that, a website costs money, the domain costs money, having these pins manufactured in advance costs money, getting the book shipped to me costs money. So this is definitely more of an upfront expense type of situation that I didn't have before, whereas I only had ordered like one box of books. It was like a huge box of books, and then the rest I just let people order online. But this time I'm super proud of this final version, and this is going to be the version that rocks with me till the day I die. So I'm investing a lot of time and energy into this. And to that note, I do want to say thank you to everyone who participated in the pre-sales for the books and the pins, and thank you all for your patience. While I waited for these products to get to me, I wanted to make sure that everything was perfect. And now that they are, I'm ready to get them out to you all. I've already shipped some pins out, so if you have your pins, take pictures, tag me in them. I want to see how you're wearing them. But for those of you who order book and pin combos, those are coming, okay? So yeah, so it's just been a different type of situation. I did a virtual book release party instead of an in-person one, which actually turned out to be pretty cool because I had friends from all over the United States participating. And before, I did 2 or 3 in-person ones, one in Florida and one in Louisiana. And while those were great, it was limited to who could be there in person. So this was a really great opportunity for folks to support me from all over, which I appreciated. And shout out to all of y'all for attending. And that video is up on YouTube. Let's see. So yeah, so let's talk about some more that happened in 2020. So I've been job searching. Today is December 31st. And I literally started job searching January of 2020. I work in higher education. My degree is in higher education administration, and I wanted to work at an institution. I wanted to be in an assistant director role or higher. Especially once I finished my PhD, that was the goal. And I did a nationwide search. I wasn't limiting myself. I didn't care where I ended up. I'm single with no kids. Like, I don't have anything holding me to a place, or having to like really think about like if I have to move, like I don't have to up and bring a bunch of people or whatever with me, or change schools for a child or change job for a husband. Those types of things. Those things are not of concern for me. So this was a very easy opportunity for me to just really go for it, right? And so I applied nationwide to institutions and cities I'd never heard of, institutions I'd never heard of, positions I'd never heard of. So it was a crazy long, drawn out process trying to get a job, and I am happy to report that I have accepted a full-time position, and it's a pretty good one. And so I'm not gonna say where I'm moving to on this episode. I'll probably let you guys know once I'm settled in the new place, but I do want to talk a little bit about this journey and the process that led me to where I am now. So like I said, I started job searching in January. I knew that the position that I was in at the beginning of this year was not going to be a long-term position. I was incredibly unhappy at work, just miserable at work. My supervisor was something else, and I knew that I was going to want to change positions once I finished my degree. Now, the interesting thing was, at the time, earlier this year, there were two positions open and opening up at the institution. One was in the Women's Center, being the coordinator in the Women's Center, and then one was the coordinator for the African American Cultural Center. And I have an interest in both, and I was willing to go into either, but I let the Women's Center application passed me by because I really want to focus on the opportunity to work with African American students, specifically in that role. And then the pandemic hit, and so the person who was potentially leaving that position for another one didn't get to finish his interview process, and therefore wasn't leaving that position. And I was like, oh snap, what's going to happen now? So then eventually I ended up being fired from my job unexpectedly, like completely out of left field. Like, I had no idea it was coming. And because of that, I was basically kicked out of the system. Now, this was a huge system. This is the Cal State system. This is a great system to be an employee in. But because I was fired, I didn't have an opportunity to change positions before the relationship with my supervisor got any worse. So he basically beat me to the punch, essentially. Which is cool. I don't care. I didn't want to work for him anymore anyway, but I just would have liked to have left on my own terms. Like, come on, like, let me leave. Let me leave on my own terms. Just know I'm leaving, okay? We both would have been in a good position. Just let me leave. But the cool thing about him firing me was that I got unemployment. And so unemployment was popping during the summer. I was living my best life this summer. And I've never been on unemployment before. I've never been fired from a job before. But unemployment is nice when they're giving you all of it. Then unemployment got a little funky, and so I was like, okay, well, I really need to start applying for jobs again because unemployment is not giving me all of the coins that they said they were going to give me. So then I kept applying to jobs. I started interviewing for positions in March, so I didn't get fired until May. So from March until May, I was like, okay, something's got to give. I got to get a job. At this time, like, we don't know the pandemic is going to last all year. Like, people are thinking that we're going to be good by fall. Everything's going to be okay. So I'm thinking I'm going to get a job and I'll start somewhere in the fall. All of summer goes by. I'm interviewing. I'm thinking I'm going to get this job. Didn't get it. Completely devastated. Go for some more applications. Get some more interviews. Start to think I'm going to get this other job. Didn't get it. Again, devastated. I'm like, Lord, what is going on? Your girl is trying so hard. She's definitely qualified. The degree is done. The work experience is there. The personality is there. Why am I not being hired? Stressed out, tired, grumpy, broke. It just wasn't going well, right? Like, I'm not in a good mood. I'm not happy about this. I got my mentor saying one thing, my mentor saying another thing, my family saying one thing, family saying another thing. It was just a lot, right? So we keep going, right? We're getting through. Now it's fall. And I'm like, Lord, when am I going to get a job? Unemployment is still not giving me all of what I need. So now I got to ramp up doing hair appointments. Get this book done. Start selling these books. Finding other ways to supplement my income. I'm a hustler, so I'm going to make it happen. Ain't missed a car payment, car insurance, rent, phone bill. Ain't missed none of it. Stayed on point. Thank God for that all 2020 because it could have gone a completely different way. But it was hard. It was not easy. It was definitely hard, right? And I'm like, Lord, I got to get a job. So then in end of September, I'm getting phone calls about potentially starting like a part-time consulting opportunity. And I'm like, I've never been a consultant before. I don't even know which I want me to consult on, but whatever you want me to do, I'm down to do it if it's gonna give me some money. So I'm like, let's go for it. So they finally are able to work it out, and I get brought on as a consultant. So I'm doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work. I'm working with some really amazing students, and I'm back in the groove. I'm like, okay, I got meetings, I got things to do, I'm busy, I got things on my schedule. Like, I really felt like a productive member of society again. Yes, we're making progress. But on the other end of that, at that point when this lady was offering me this opportunity, I had some other jobs that I was still interviewing for, and I'm waiting to hear back from them. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I got this HBCU opportunity in North Carolina, I got this PWI opportunity in Texas. Something's gonna shake out. Nothing shook, okay? I mean, nothing. So I'm like, okay, well, these are not happening, but I'm gonna keep the faith and let's keep it pushing. So I started applying to more jobs. Once things start getting into a groove with the consulting job, the lady's like, well, there's this position of institution that I think you'd be really great for. You should apply. Then she says, well, at our institution, we got some other opportunities. You should apply. I'm like, okay, whatever. I submit applications, whatever. Interview process will start up again. I'm like, okay, cool. Getting into the groove. I got to get my suit. I have my handy dandy blazer, and then I got my, okay, we made it to the second round blazer, and so I got these on standby, because I'm literally interviewing what felt like every week. So we're going through the process, we finally get down to the nitty gritty, and as of last week, so Christmas week, the week of Christmas, I had accepted one position, and then was offered another one. And I'm telling y'all this information because if anyone faces this in the future, I just want you to know that you are not the only one, and this is not easy to do. I have never received 2 offers before. Now, earlier this year, I had received an offer for a position that was very specific and very focused on one area within a functional area in higher ed and student affairs. And I was like, while this is a great opportunity, I cannot accept. And I'm glad I didn't, because the pandemic ended up lasting through the whole year, and that position might have been let go. And then I would have moved to Chattanooga, a city I didn't really want to be in, and then been struggling. And that just wouldn't have been great. And plus the salary was very, very low, right? And so we get to this Christmas week, and I have a decision between the institutional type that I really want to be at and a huge salary increase. And so for me, it wasn't about the money. I wasn't thinking about the dollar amount that was attached to this other position. The thing that I really wish that the first offer would have given me was a title. So I asked specifically during the interview, and then following up once there was an offer, for a specific title. They were unable to meet that request. This other position will be perceived as a promotion because it's at the institution that I've been doing the consulting opportunity with, which is great. I am super happy about that. And while it doesn't specifically have the title I was looking for, it has the title connotation and the rank within HR. So that was really the tipping point for me, was that based on the trajectory of my career, this second opportunity is the better opportunity for me to move forward, and I'll have better leverage for when I want to move up, or move up an institution, or move out to other positions. And so it was definitely hard. I deliberated for 3 whole days. I consulted at least 15 people, from friends to colleagues to mentors, family members. It was definitely difficult, and I would just say to anyone who finds themselves in that situation before to really, really, really and truly think about your options, write everything down, do a pros and cons list. Think about what's going to make you happiest overall, what's going to make you happier in the long run. Think about your career trajectory. Think about your personal comfort, what type of environment you want to be in at work, and the resources that would be available to you at work as well. It's just a lot. It's not easy. And I feel like I feel like now I'm an adult, I'm a big girl, and I had to make a really tough decision, because the other institution was the institutional type that I wanted to be at, but it wasn't giving me the title or the salary that I really needed. And so I had to make a really, really tough decision. And so I made the decision on Christmas Eve, and so starting January 12th, I'll be in my new role, and I again will tell you guys all that information in the next episode. But it was a difference between a lot of things, and one of the pieces that changed is that I thought I was going to be relocating at the beginning of next month. And so now, because the other offer, they're working remotely, I don't have to move immediately. And so they give us a little bit more time as a family to get everything situated, figure everything out, but also gives me time to save money and get my life together before making a move across the country. So while I've been anticipating this all year and wanting to do this all year, because of the way that the timing of everything fell, it's going to be a lot easier once I get a paycheck. So that's what's going on with that. And then also too, I would just say, if you don't know how to negotiate, or if you don't know what you don't know, ask questions, attend workshops, webinars, at conferences, there's a workshop about it, or talk to people within, like I'm in a sorority, and we have fraternity brothers, and so because of that, I'm able to get feedback from professionals in my field specifically, and people who are further along who have this experience with negotiating and like understanding what to do and how to move through some things. And so because of that, that really helped me being able to navigate the situation and how to negotiate, and asking for what I wanted, and what I needed for my next job. And so I would just definitely encourage you to lean on people who can support you and help you navigate this type of situation. So I do want to say about 2020, I didn't get COVID, but it did hit close to home. I had a birthday party for my 30th birthday. I had a birthday party early this year, and someone brought COVID to my party. And we, while I thought I was being safe in our environment with a very small group of people and people that I knew very well, folks got sick, and I really felt bad about that situation. So I do definitely want to encourage folks to be safe, wear your mask, keep your 6-foot distance, sanitize, wash your hands, don't be all up in people's faces, but just to really think about that, and just whether you don't see it, or you may be asymptomatic, or you don't know that you're carrying the sickness, you could be passing it to others, and they might have pre-existing situations that makes it worse for them. So be aware of that, and I just want to say, stay safe, and my condolences to anyone who's lost someone to COVID this year. One of the hard things for me about this year was that I was unable to travel, and one of my biggest trips, my trip to Egypt, was canceled, and so that was a total bummer. I knew for my 30th birthday, and I've known for a while, that I wanted to go to Africa, and specifically Egypt, and so because that trip was canceled, I had to throw something together last minute. So for 2021, as long as Egypt is open, I will be making a trip there. And so I'm going to try to recreate my 30th birthday experience next year. And I just hope that it can happen. So y'all stay tuned as we get to doing more traveling. So I will say the only things that did not happen for me this year, or that I was unable to manifest, that wasn't achieved on my board, was getting a boyfriend. I really did want to have someone serious that I was dating this year. That didn't happen. I did meet someone at the end of October, beginning of November, who I thought it could turn into something. It's kind of still in the same place it was before he left the city, so I'm not really like holding my breath about it, but I am excited to move to a new place, and hopefully something will come of that. And then I really wanted to get a new car this year. I wanted a 2020 Toyota RAV4. I wasn't able to get it this year, but my goal is that by my birthday, in 2021, I'll be able to have that brand new vehicle. My real goal is to have a Toyota RAV4 2021, and then also have a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon specifically. And so those are both going to be pretty pricey. And while my new job is paying me a lot, I don't know that I'll be able to afford both car notes. And so I'm either probably going to lease something or do some type of like buy here, pay here situation and get like or like save up a lot of money and then buy it or whatever. So we'll see how that works out. But those are my goals for 2021. Since they didn't happen in 2020, and it's cool. I mean, this year I really thought that I was going to be moving at some point. I didn't know when, but I didn't want to get serious with anybody in LA, knowing that I was going to be a flight risk, and I don't want to do a long distance relationship. I really, honestly and truly would like to do something serious with someone in the city that I live in moving forward. So that is a goal. So yeah, let's look at what I was able to accomplish this year. We'll do a quick rundown. So this is 2020, a list of my accomplishments, what I was able to get done this year. The important things are defending my dissertation before 30, graduating during a pandemic with a PhD, secured a full-time job in my field that checks all of my boxes. I was able to independently publish my book. I launched my nonprofit. I launched my podcast. I was featured on 3 podcasts. I was able to publish an article related to my dissertation, and then I was also able to present at a conference for HBCU students, and I presented at a conference related to the work that I was doing in my consulting gig, and I was recruited to be a consultant, which was wild. I never thought that that was going to happen so soon, but that was a really great thing. And then just surviving 2020, like, this was a crazy year, y'all. So this is how I'm walking into 2021. This is one of my grad photos. This is with Nipsey Hussle in the background. This is a mural that's in downtown Los Angeles, and it's one of my favorite murals of him, honestly. And so yeah, so I think that's everything for today's episode. I want to say thank you all for joining me on this journey. This was my first real effort at creating these episodes and developing content on a consistent basis. I'm really proud of that. I made a goal this month specifically to do an episode every Wednesday, and so I did plan to do an episode yesterday, but the guest was not able to be present, and so we rescheduled for today. I want to say Happy New Year to everybody on the East Coast. Happy New Year's to everyone that is in Central Standard Time, and then in just a little bit it'll be New Year's for us on the West Coast. So thank you all for joining episode 20. Was it the year from hell or heaven sent? On Everything Under the Sun, the podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. Williams. Love y'all, peace, joy, and happiness, and I'll see you on the other side of 2020 and 2021. Mwah.